Hey, parents of teen drivers, Seth Smiley here from the Smiley Law Firm. I am here for this week's July 28th, 3 p.m. Facebook Live. All right, so we want to do this each and every week, be coming to you live to discuss, current issues, current topics, things that are going on with regards to, parents of teen drivers and in our Facebook group that we have here and just topics that are going on. I kind of have this dual screen thing going on. So if I'm ever looking off to the side, that's what that's about. So again, Seth Smiley is my name. I'm with the Smiley Law Firm, and we have a parents of teen drivers official Facebook group. And so if you are checking this out, that means you are in the group. So if you find the group helpful, please tell your friends, tell family members, anybody you know who has a teen driver or who has influence over a teen driver, such as grandparents or anything like that. The group should be very helpful and provide resources for teen drivers and parents of, so that you can help your teen uh, become a better driver and be a safer driver so that they can make the smart decision when they are put into a predicament and they're out on the road. And they will have the wealth of knowledge that you provided to be able to choose right from wrong or make a better decision whenever there are certain things that are going on. So we want to provide this resource for everybody. If anybody has a comment or whatever, please reach out. You can leave a comment below this Facebook Live, and you can like it or give some sort of reaction or whatever. But definitely want to provide a forum for people to ask questions. I'm a lawyer, licensed in Louisiana, Texas, and California. Most of the work that we do is located in the metropolitan New Orleans area. But we cover auto accidents and personal injury claims statewide in the entire state of Louisiana, and we have some going on in Texas as well. So have a lot of information that could be helpful for people, and so this is a forum that you can reach out and leave a question in the comments or whatever, and it can be answered live here on the air. And I'm not saying that I know everything, so if I don't know the answer to it, then I can research it and get back to you at a later time, or potentially even have it as another topic, right? So where I get these topics from, or I look at comments and have people reach out to me from time to time in the Parents of Teen Drivers Facebook group, and I'm able to kind of see what people are saying and try to make topics that are influential for them to be helpful, I guess. So basically, wanted to talk about we're going to talk about the insurance claim process today, which is something that as a lawyer we deal with this all day, every day. Okay, and most likely, especially living in South Louisiana or Louisiana in general, everyone has dealt with the insurance claims process. Just think about an auto accident that you've been in. Think about a rainstorm that's come through, or Katrina, or Gustav, or any of the natural elements that we deal with all the time. If your car's ever been broken into, if you have, I'm trying to think of other ways that, property damage claims on houses, property, various things like that are usually where we see insurance claims being made. Cell phones. Have you ever dropped your cell phone and had to make an insurance claim? I mean, that's one where people need to make insurance claims all the time. I remember my car was broken into when I was in high school, and it was very interesting because the vehicle itself had the auto insurance property damage claim because the glass was broken and various other things were damaged. And then also, this was date myself, but it had a bunch of CDs in the car. And so those were actually a separate claim that was done on my mom's homeowner's insurance. So because the CDs were, purchased through that avenue, and actually the value of the CDs exceeded the deductible, so it ended up being a legitimate claim. So the point of the matter is we all make insurance claims, and we're all going to need to make insurance claims at some point along the way, and most of them can be taken care of pretty easily. And working with adjusters and various things and get it all taken care of, wham bam, it's done. Usually, I would say probably 90, 95, even higher than that percentage, you never need a lawyer for. And so that's why I want to provide some education on this. Or if anybody ever has any questions or issues, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to give information. I help family members and friends and things like that all the time. Just saying, hey, here's what you need to do next, or here's what you should do, and kind of point them in the right direction when it comes to insurance claims. So one of the things that that people have expressed in the Facebook group is that their biggest fear is their teen getting into an accident. And so, yes, that's a big fear. And statistically, it's a very reasonable fear because this demographic, 16 to 19 years old, gets into more accidents percentage on a percentage basis than does any other group. And so, apologize. I have a little doggy who's running around in here and she's making some noise. So if you hear that, I apologize. But regardless, so anyway, so we're going to be talking about the insurance claims process. Again, I want to go over the group and why we do the group and how we do the group, how we structure it. She was about to start chewing on something that's going to be really loud. And so the purpose of the weekly call is so that, Smiley Law Firm is the law firm that I own, and we help people with the injury claims process. And so that means auto accidents, that means slip and falls, that means various product liability type things. If you're it's a decently wide scope of work in the law, but like the law is huge, right? And so there are in that's not everyone always understands that, and I like to compare it to most people understand elements of a house, right? So you have a plumber that comes and deals with water and toilets and those fixtures, and then you'll have a AC guy AC and heat, HVAC, who comes and deals with your air conditioner, or a roofer that comes to deal with your roof, or foundation people who deal with your foundation. And the point is those are different trades or different specialties within the construction industry. The law is the same way. There are tons of different types of lawyers, and you don't always, just because you know a lawyer doesn't mean that's the kind of lawyer that you want to work on your particular claim. Like if you want to close on your house, we are not the law firm for that. You want to go to a closing attorney because they know all the paperwork and they have all the things in order to help facilitate that process and make it go quickly and efficiently. The same is true for if you wanted to deal with a bankruptcy. Those are specific types of lawyers who handle those bankruptcies, and very smart people who are dealing with that. And it's its own set of rules and own law. Patents are the same way. I mean, there's a whole bunch. There's a laundry list of different things. Some lawyers litigate, some do not, which that means they file a lawsuit and they go in and they have hearings and they do these things and they eventually end up at trial, even though most cases settle, but litigation is the process that leads up to trial. And so we do litigate in our law firm. We file lawsuits all the time. And so what we do basically is, and a reason why I kind of circle back around to that is we start with the insurance claim, so there's an accident, and then the claim is made, and then the clients go through the treatment and the various things that they need to do in order to get healthy. And then if we have certain time periods in Louisiana where a lawsuit has to be filed by a certain amount of time, or otherwise you lose your rights, which is called prescription in Louisiana. Other places it is a statute of limitations, but all the other states it's statute of limitations. Here it's prescription, but same thing, just different words. And so the once people are treating and they go through that process and they start to run up to that prescription date, then we're forced to file a lawsuit. And so sometimes we end up needing to litigate it and fight back and forth with the insurance company and their attorneys. Other times we can simply just wait till the client is treating and then go through the normal processes and get the claim resolved in a less adversarial way. So, one of in another main premise of why we're doing this Facebook Live for the Parents of Teen Drivers Facebook group is to open up communications. I like to be transparent. I like to have, easily accessible as a law firm. We were able to be called, text message, emailed. You can reach out to us online on our website. And so there are lots of ways that you can communicate with us, come by, see us face to face, whatever it is. And so I think that it's important that people have access to information. And so, some things you can find online, and some things it's good to go talk to somebody who's lived through it and experienced it, and kind of point you in the right direction. And so, opening up lines of communications and getting people to participate in the group is something that we want to make sure that we're doing as well. And I like the videos that I do. They're shorter. The weekly, multiple times a week, we'll put out videos that are kind of little topics, little snippets of topics here and there. And I think that those are very helpful for the group. People can go back and access those and try to figure them out. Um, the dog made a very, I don't know what she's doing, but you can go and access the videos, and they can almost be like a library for you to go back and say, oh wait, I know he talked about this, I know he talked about that. The only negative about that is you get no live interaction. So there is no element of, hey, I had a question about this, and I can either, I mean, you can have comments, so I can answer the question in the comments, which is very easy, or you can come on and leave a comment here, and then we can go back and forth that way, whichever way you want to do it. But at least it can be talked through here as well. So anyway, and I think Facebook is a good forum to do things like this, especially within our group. So anyway, so that's why we have the live setting, and we'll continue to do this from week to week, as long as people see that they're getting value from it. So before we dive into the full insurance claims process, I just I wanted to make sure that everybody knew about what the goal of what we're trying to do here with Parents of Teen Drivers Facebook group, and if there's other people out there that we can help, please recommend them to the group. It's a private group, and we do that on purpose. We don't want just anybody coming in and out. We want to make sure that they have some sort of tie to helping teen drivers be more successful behind the wheel, which means less auto accidents and less distraction and other things. And so feel free to recommend people, and then we'll go through the approval process and get people in the group. And hopefully this will come to something where you guys can post things in the group as well. And we've had some people along the way post a few things, and I'm grateful for you for that. And just have it to where it is something that we can, if we can put something out there and it helps, one teenager make a better decision so that they don't get into an accident or don't get a ticket or don't whatever, then that's a win, right? And so at the end of the day, it's all about trying to help people. Um, and let's see. So the biggest fear that most of the people who are in this group have is their teen getting into an accident. So insurance claims typically follow kind of a standard procedure. It doesn't matter if it's an auto accident or a flood claim in your house or a fire claim or just whatever. So they need an occurrence, and so insurance companies love that word, and it typically is an occurrence, like one occurrence. Sometimes you will have a leak or something in a house where it's like something's been dripping over a long period of time, and then finally you realize the damage. Insurance companies love to they want to be able to put their finger on, hey, this happened right then. So like if you have a fire or an electrical something or another or an auto accident, that is an occurrence. And so what you will do is when the occurrence happens, auto accident. Most auto accidents, there aren't a lot of physical damages when it comes to people being injured. More your run-of-the-mill accident is, some sort of rear end or, side swipe or whatever. And those you still want to make a claim on because you want to be able to get um, your vehicle fixed. And so New Orleans has one of the highest insurance rates in the country. And it's because there are lots of situations where there are these small claims that are made. I.e., I was driving on Claiborne many years ago, and I was driving and I was in my lane, and there weren't even any other cars around, and it was the middle of the day, and the street just had this big dip like this, whatever, and it was near Tulane's campus, and boom, the vehicle hit it at like 45, and it dipped down so fast that one of the arms on the back of the back tire broke. And so I ended up having to make an insurance claim on that. And the big bummer about that is it was a one car accident. So because the insurance company did not have anyone else to blame, that was technically my fault. And my insurance rates went up because of that. Now it was like a $4,000 or $5,000 fix. It was a Volkswagen Touareg, and they just aren't very popular. And so the arm breaking on it was, I mean, it was a serious amount of money that needed to go through the insurance claims process. And it was very frustrating to me because that stayed along with me for a while because technically it was an at fault accident on my part, which is very frustrating. And I think this was even before it was right when I was a baby lawyer, or maybe right before I became a lawyer. And it was just very frustrating because it's just you don't want your rates going up because there's a giant hole in the street. But regardless, there are other situations where there are claims that need to be made, but the occurrence happens, and then you have to reach out to either your insurance or the at fault party's insurance and make a claim. Many times you have to reach out to both. In our office, we typically will find the at fault party's insurance, which is typically listed on the police report, and we will send a letter of representation saying, on this date and time, the vehicle was involved in an accident. Here's the police report, here's whatever, and we start the claims process. And at that time, the insurance company will assign an adjuster to it, and then the adjuster will start gathering evidence to try to figure out who's at fault and what's going on. Um, you can also make a claim with your own insurance, which is important as well. If liability is in question, like if it's a rear end, most of the time the third party insurance will just pick up and say, okay, our insured was at fault, bring your car to the shop, whatever. But they typically move slower. 2 or 3 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks, whatever. If we were getting that claim resolved in the property damage, as opposed to if you went through your first party insurance, your insurance, then and you have full coverage, you have comprehensive um, liability coverage on your vehicle, then you can make the claim on your insurance, and your insurance will act more quickly to get it resolved just because they have a higher duty to you because you pay them the premiums every month. The frustrating part is you will say your claim is $5,000 and you have a $500 deductible, then you will have to pay the $500 deductible, even though it's not your fault, until your insurance company has a chance to go arbitrate with the at fault insurance company. And once they arbitrate, they figure out who's at fault, whatever, and then you will get your $500 back in that particular instance, or $1,000, or whatever your deductible is. I recently had one where it was a personal situation, and it took almost 9 months to get that deductible back, which is frustrating. But at the end of the day, I still got my car fixed, and I could get back to work and doing things that I needed to do much more quickly. So that's a positive. So typically, if folks need to get back into their vehicle quickly, I tell them to go make a first party claim on their insurance so that they can get the rental car and they can get the property damage and everything all cleared up. And something like that, if you can show that it is 100% not your fault, your insurance should not go up. And we have a statute in Louisiana, and I believe I've posted it before. But basically, if the claim or claims that you've made on your insurance policy are no fault of your own, then your insurance rates are not allowed to go up. Now, if it's a small percentage of fault or whatever, then they are allowed to go up on your rates. So that's something that everybody wants to be careful of. And you know, after the claim is started, that's when you start to provide essentially proof. Okay, so we have the occurrence, we have the claim, we're going to provide proof, and then we're going to have the resolution. Those are kind of the four steps of the insurance claims process. And I'm sure there are a bunch of lawyers out there who'll say, "Well, there's this, that, and the other." And I mean, that's just kind of how I boiled it down when I was thinking about going live here. And so the providing of proof is, that's something where you can provide photos, you can provide video, of either the accident happening, if you're near a business and they have cameras out front, or if you're near a residence and they have cameras out front, you can go and request that video footage from those people. Sometimes there are dash cams on various, police units or Ubers or whatever that will taxi cab drivers, buses, all that type of thing. They'll have the footage from the accident. So photos are great, videos better. Okay, and so those are the types of things that we want to get as evidence. Testimony, like live testimony, memory from people, eyewitness testimony is something that is okay. In years past, it was like the main thing that people used to determine fault. Insurance companies love to hang their hat on, the driver over here or the person who's standing on the corner or whatever said they saw it go down a certain way. There are lots of studies out there about how the brain works, and the reliability of eyewitness testimony is very low. And so I do not like to rely on it very much at all unless there's just nothing else that we have to rely on. A lot of times you'll get self-serving, testimony like, "Oh, hey, it was me in the car and then somebody else, and we saw it go down a certain way." And then if you only have you in your car, then it's kind of a two against one, and so that can be frustrating. So that's why we like videos. That's why we like photos. Eyewitness testimony is not the most favorite. Another part of providing proof and evidence is evidence of your actual damages. So you're going to go get estimates from a body shop. You will go get rental car estimate, not estimates, but provide the proof of payment for the rental car. And then if you ended up having to go to a doctor or see any kind of medical professionals, then we provide. We will, if you're working with a law firm, we will gather that information from those providers and then provide it to the insurance company. If it's you working it by yourself, then you're going to need to get those records from the providers, which are very detailed and long, and you submit that to the insurance company. And then at the end of the day, the insurance company is going to provide. If you're doing it by yourself, they're going to provide you potentially an offer of your property damage, which is your vehicle, and then your rental car. And then they will also take an assessment if you ended up going to the doctor of your bodily injuries. There is the potential for lost wages as well if you had to miss work. But again, all of this, you have to provide proof for it. And you have to show, the evidence of all of these things happening, because people love to say, "Well, I had to miss work for this, that, and the other," and then they can't provide evidence of it, or they can't show with their tax returns how their income was lower over that year whenever they were treating. There's a lot of things that go into it, and that's why it's always good to have an attorney on your side, especially when it gets to be much more complicated. So that's where we stand on providing proof. And normally, as an attorney in a law firm, we will gather all of that information, and then we turn it into what we call a demand letter. We've written some blog articles in the past on demand letters. Demand letters can be written for all kinds of things. In business, people write them when somebody owes them money or owes them a service or whatever, and it's like, "Hey, provide this by this date, or otherwise we're going to sue you, or we're going to do this or that or the other." With regards to the insurance demand letter, we say, "Hey, look, we represent so and so. Here's the accident that occurred on this specific date. your insured is at fault, and here are all the damages that resulted from it. And once the damages have been calculated, we submit a number, and then that kind of starts the negotiation process with our what we believe our client is owed, and then the insurance will come back with some very low number where they think there are a number of reasons why they don't owe that much, and they may only owe a smaller amount. And so that is, and insurance companies love it when people are representing themselves or they're getting help from family members or whatever, because they know the process very well, and the insurance companies know what they need to do because they are a for-profit enterprise, just as a law firm is, or any other business. And they know what they need to do, say, or whatever. They know the deadlines of when things need to be filed by, so they'll try to push you right up to a deadline and hopefully get over the deadline, because once you get past the prescription date or a statute of limitations, boom, you're done. There is no ability to go back on that. And then the the insurance company also knows that people, they have a job doing something else. This isn't what they do regularly, so they know that they can low pay and slow pay and hopefully get the person out. It's in their advantage to drag out the process. And so insurance companies probably don't like to hear this opinion, and they act like they're the good guys and we're the bad guys, but in reality, it's the other way around. Um, but the lawyer that you hire to work with you will help you understand that process of how it works and give you realistic expectations of what you may or may not receive. And that is a huge part of our job. And we like to make sure that clients have realistic expectations of what not only they're going to get as the total number of their settlement, but what they're actually going to clear after doctor bills and lawyers and everything else have been paid. Because that is usually, those can be vastly different, and not everybody understands that process. And so a part of our job is helping to manage client expectations so that they know and they're not blindsided, or say, I've gotten a ton of clients who've been with other firms and other whatever, and they were like, they told me that we were settling for this big number, and then I only got this small amount, and I never understood why. And so we try to be as transparent as possible and lay out all the figures and all the numbers so that everybody is on the same page. And it's like, hey, here's where it all went to, and here's what's happening, and make sure that the client is happy. And we do have very happy, satisfied clients. And the biggest reason is it's not because the dollar amount was necessarily any different. It's because they understood what was going on throughout the process. And so that, again, right, circling back around to why we're doing Facebook Lives and various things like that, is because we like to be as transparent as possible throughout the whole process. And so having people understand is important, but at the same time, like, I don't understand how a cell phone works completely, you know what I mean? So, but I know it does work. But so we don't want to necessarily give every person every single detail, because there's a lot that's not necessarily needed. But at the same time, if you want to know every detail, I'm happy to give it to you. But the point is just to make sure that everybody's on the same page, and at the end of the day, everyone leaves pretty much happy or satisfied. It's not going to be some it's not going to be out of proportion. It'll be something that everybody is understandable. And usually when they say out of a settlement, if each party leaves kind of unhappy, then it's usually a pretty good settlement. I've had mediation training in the past, and that's one of the things that they try to do, to know that if you're a good mediator and you did your job right. So anyway, so we're coming near the end of our 30 minutes here, and I just wanted to, that's kind of the whole process of how it works. And so you have the occurrence, and then you have the claim, and then you provide the proof, which is the demand letter and everything, and then you go and negotiate back and forth, and you finalize and you get that dollar amount. And then once you actually do that, then even with an attorney or without an attorney, you have to sign what's called a release. And so that the insurance company needs that before that they can give you the funds. And it basically means that you're not going to sue them for anything having to do with this accident or occurrence ever again. And then from there, you're free to go on your merry way. But the key with having an attorney is you want to make sure that all your medical providers are paid for, because there can be some long lasting liens or other things that have a tail on this. And the last thing you want is months and years down the line getting a notice from, some medical provider that, this wasn't paid or that wasn't paid. And all of a sudden, because the insurance company has no duty to pay any of those people. Sometimes they will pay Medicare and Medicaid, because there are potential ramifications on that. But otherwise, they don't have any duty to pay these people, and it's on you. And so you want to make sure that all your insurance, all your medical claims are being paid. And once you settle and you're done, then you're done with everything, and it's all over. And whatever you get is yours, and you don't have to worry about it anymore. So again, I can't believe that I've filled up the full 30 minutes already of just talking and about the insurance claims process. This is something that we do all the time. And again, parents have a fear of their kids getting into an accident. And so once you get over the fact that, like, okay, the accident has happened, everybody's okay within reason, what steps do we need to take next to get our life as close as we can to what it was right before the accident happened? And that's our job, and that's our goal as personal injury attorneys, is to try to get you the best medical care possible, and then get the insurance company to pay for that and pay for your pain and suffering. So again, this is our weekly 30 minutes for the Parents of Teenage Drivers Facebook group. Um, if anybody has any comments, please feel free, watch the 30 minutes, leave a comment below, direct message me, Seth Smiley, and I'm happy to answer any questions, or if there's some topic that you want me to talk about in more detail, feel free to shoot it out there, and we can go over this, and we will be doing this same time next week, until I somebody says, hey, don't do those things. And even if somebody says that, I'll probably still do these, because I think they're important, and I think it's good for people to be in communication about these topics and this subject matter. So again, my name is Seth Smiley, and this will wrap up this week's Facebook Live, Parents of Teen Drivers official Facebook group. Any questions, any comments, feel free to reach out. Our phone number is 504-822-2222. You can find us on the web at smileyinjurylaw.com, or you can just SethSmiley.com works as well. And we will see you next time. Thank you.